Hello, everyone. At this point, most of the news sources are focused on the UN Assembly. It is very important, of course, but it would be helpful if they also bothered to cover the actual war, something that is going on, the action, especially since quite a few of the participants emphasized the importance of action. Starting with the UN Secretary General Guterres, who said that, the time for talking is over and that Russia had unleashed the nexus of horror and so on. And these are very fine words and very true. But my question to the Secretary General is, so are you prepared to walk the walk? For months now, you have been discrediting Ukraine's report of the atrocities Russia committed. For months now, you have been denying the fact of genocide committed by Russians on Ukrainian territory. For months, you have issued concerns about how Ukrainian soldiers were defending their own country, but not the other way around. When Russia used things like nail bombs a year ago, you didn't say anything. When Ukrainians started using those, you suddenly started expressing concern. What's the problem? And not to mention the fact that despite having violated numerous items on the UN Charter, Russia is still the UN Security Council member and still a UN member. Why? So unless you are prepared to actually take action, these words are worth precisely nothing. President Biden, too, stated, evil cannot be trusted. This is going on. This is bad. Again, good on you. But one of the problems we have is with how many Americans think that continuing to arm Ukraine will only prolong the war, and wouldn't it be better to negotiate with Putin? After all, he's not affecting or attacking America directly. And here's what it reminds me of. You know what this is? This photo is from the United States from 1941. At the time, the country under attack was Britain, being pummeled mercilessly by the Nazi Germany troops. And as U.S. government was considering whether or not to provide support to Britain, these were the demonstrations and these were the posters. And the question was, why do we have to bother? Hitler is not bothering us directly, so why should we support Britain in its fight against Hitler and then later European states and even the Soviet Union? We all know how that turned out. Learn your own history, America. Meanwhile, Zelensky wasn't mincing words. And I don't think he should, because at this point, this whole game at diplomacy is just so pointless and so insulting to what people of Ukraine are going through. In addition to the unprovoked attack against its neighbor, Zelensky also brought up the fact of kidnapping of Ukrainian children and insisted that it's genocide, which it is. If you go and look up the definition of genocide according to the international laws and as adopted by most countries, that includes abduction and indoctrination of children. So, this fits. Of course, the Russian delegation insisted that their attack on Ukraine was promoted by Ukraine's genocide against Russian-speaking population, except they don't have any evidence to corroborate that. And coming from a Russian-speaking family in Ukraine, and being in touch with a lot of Russian-speaking individuals in Ukraine, I can tell you it's bullshit. Russian population of Ukraine was never in any danger. This was just an excuse to invade. Meanwhile, we've had 2 points of progress in the war. First of all, 2 military airplanes and a helicopter were destroyed at a military airfield in the vicinity of Moscow. And at this point, it is unknown whether it was carried out by Ukrainian operatives or by the Russian saboteurs. That was not a drone strike. The explosives were placed within one of the airplanes. So somebody had to go there personally, set it up, and set it off. And I know that Ukrainian intelligence services are not going to say anything because if it was our operatives, they wouldn't want to endanger them. In addition, there's been another strike against Russia's military base in Sevastopol. As usual, Russian media lied about the big plume of smoke coming up from there, that it was a grass fire.